Welcome back to the Football Forecast. My name's Will Brazier. I've got two illustrious guests with me. Joining me first is Dan Bardell. Dan, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well, Will.
Very good stuff. And Anita Abayomi, how are you?
I'm all good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I wanted to start with your beloved Chelsea, Anita. We're talking transfers. We're talking Anthony Gordon, £60 million. Do you want him? You happy? What are your thoughts?
I'm all over the place with this one, right? Okay, I understand why Thomas Tuchel wants another forward and he wants a more dynamic, direct forward. I get it. But when you've got Callum Hudson-Odoi, you've got Christian Pulisic, got Mason Mount there, you've got heaps of forwards still left on your bench. You want to get rid of a couple of them and you want to bring in £60 million Anthony Gordon. It's just not making any sense to me. Don't get me wrong, this is no disrespect to Anthony Gordon, but Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's right there. We're looking to loan him out or sell him off. I don't understand why we're trying to do that. If you want a direct winger, you've got it in Callum Hudson-Odoi. You want a winger that can get you an assist, you've got it in Callum Hudson-Odoi. A creative winger, you've got it in Callum Hudson-Odoi. I don't think I need to say any more about it, but hey, if Thomas Tuchel wants a 60 million Anthony Gordon, he better be right about him. That's what I'm going to say. He better be right.
Dan, just from an Everton perspective, they've already rejected 45 million already, but that's some big sums of money to be turning down for a player that's not vastly experienced in the Premier League yet.
I mean, he hasn't really had a full season yet of first-team football in the Premier League. I think him and Hudson-Odoi have actually played a very similar amount of games in terms of their careers so far. I agree with what Anita's saying. You've got a player there who's come through your own academy who you rejected £80 million
Yeah.
from Bayern Munich a few years ago. He stalled a lot in the last few years, Callum Hudson-Odoi. But back to Anthony Gordon, I don't think it makes sense for anyone. I don't think it makes sense for Chelsea because they've already got players there who aren't getting first-team football. If they're going to be spending big money on something, to me it needs to be a centre-forward, someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. Anthony Gordon's best position is the same as Raheem Sterling. So Anthony Gordon's going to be an impact player off the bench at best for Chelsea. Everton-wise, it doesn't make sense for them either because, yes, they need a striker. Yes, they probably need some money as well. But they haven't got a lot of forward players. Anthony Gordon is playing up front at the moment. And if you sell him this late in the transfer window, there's absolutely no guarantees that even if you get that money, depending on how it comes in terms of instalments, that you're going to be able to reinvest that and get through the door who's right for your club. So it could end up being panic stations for both these clubs come the end of the window. And in a way, this move kind of feels panic station. It doesn't feel like you're a Chelsea fan, obviously. It doesn't feel like a Thomas Tuchel move to me. It feels more like a club move.
But then, you know what? Because we know that Thomas Tuchel has a lot of autonomy over this transfer window, you then start to question him directly, like, is this really your move? Are you really going for him? And are you really trying to sell off Callum Hudson-Odoi as well? Luckily, we've got, I wouldn't say evidence, but we've got receipts on Thomas Tuchel from last season with Callum Hudson-Odoi. We didn't really warm up to him as a winger, often played him as right wing back, and it was like, okay, Callum Hudson-Odoi, he's probably not going to last Thomas Tuchel's tenure, and that's okay. But to bring in Anthony Gordon is kind of like, it's not a setback in any way, but why trade another academy player that came up in Chelsea for an academy player that came up from Everton and has barely had a season of Premier League football? You know, it's like I said, it's so hard to make sense of it. If we want to make sense of it, we'll be sitting here with tactical boards depicting it all day. I'll tell you that for free.
Well, something that does make sense to me, Alexander Isak, Real Sociedad to Newcastle, £60 million, sort of the front man that they've been looking for. Callum Wilson, when he gets in the team, does score, doesn't he, Dan? But sort of always had that injury record. 44 goals, 132 appearances from Real Sociedad, £60 million. It's a lot of money, but we've sort of been waiting for Newcastle to spend this money, and it feels like the right man.
I think it's a good signing because I think Newcastle have been a lot more measured since they've had the takeover in the transfer market than you would have expected them to perhaps be. I think people thought that they'd just be throwing money at everyone for
like Football Manager, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Them all less.
I mean, they're a good go on Football Manager if you fancy it. At the moment, you can have a lot of fun with Newcastle on Football Manager. But they've got Eddie Howe in. They've looked like a good team.
Yeah.
They obviously played the way they played against Manchester City at the weekend. Really, really impressive. And part of that comes down to their transfer and recruitment strategy. It's worked very well. And yes, they're spending a big amount of money, but they're spending it on someone who's got potential to grow.
Yeah.
I'd liken it a little bit to the Richarlison signing in that I think he can probably cover all front three positions.
Right.
I think, in the best 11, you'd have him in that Newcastle best 11 when everyone's fit and perhaps have him playing just off
Yeah.
Wilson. but he's an incredibly talented player. He's got everything that you'd really want from an advanced striker that plays on his own nowadays. He's direct, he can run with the ball, he's sizeable, which, you know, that seems to be the route that teams are going now. His big thing is his pressing. If you look at his numbers for how he presses, his sprints per game and things like that, he's going to be an incredible signing for Newcastle. You know, maybe a player a year ago, they definitely wouldn't have bought. There'd have been other teams coming in for him, but I think it's a good move for him. And it's a good move for Newcastle as well, because I think Wilson's injured at the moment, actually, as we're filming as well. So they need another option up there.
Well, you mentioned those sort of pressing numbers as well, and even like for the game against Man City on Sundays, if you can get athletic forwards going at the sort of making mistakes and get the crowd up at Newcastle, it's sort of the perfect move. Almost the number 9. I mean, it's what you're crying out for, isn't it, Anita? So it's like the perfect signing, like we said, isn't it, for Newcastle?
You know, when I saw the link, I was thinking, why didn't we think of this? You know, why hasn't this happened for Chelsea? It's a great signing for Newcastle, and you've got to look back to January when Arsenal fans, a lot of them were tracking Alexander Isak, thinking that he's going to come to Arsenal, begging for him to come to Arsenal, tracking his flight, tracking his car, tracking the registration plate of his car. It was absolutely...
I feel like you've got friends that have done that you need to...
I have a lot of friends that have done that. And I get it. I understand. I think he's a very good forward. And if I could have had him at Chelsea, I would take him at Chelsea too. So for Newcastle, what a way to kind of put themselves back on the map and say, yeah, we mean business. We are coming for everyone's targets and we're not going to back down from it. And that's what I see it as. I see it as a move to re-announce Newcastle as a huge team that's coming to get that top 6 spot eventually as time goes on. I don't want to call it now, but as time goes on, they are building for that, and I can see it.
I'll call it. I think Newcastle could finish top 6
this season.
Yeah, honestly.
Wow,
really
just started then. Straight in there.
Football forecast. I'm making forecast work.
Straight in there. One tweet I read, it said, it doesn't matter if Isak's rubbish up front, because how can just turn him into a centre midfield like he did with Joe Linton. So money well spent either way. Finally, we're going to end with Cristiano Ronaldo. Not a day goes by when he's not in the headlines. Been linked today, I saw, with a move to Rangers after they qualified to the Champions League. But do we think he's staying or going when the window shuts? Anita, what do you think?
It's a difficult question. Do you know what? As it stands right now, I don't think he's going anywhere. Otherwise, he would have left before. Teams aren't really in for him like that. And it kind of makes me question, what is so bad about Cristiano Ronaldo that everybody kind of deters away from him? I'm one of those fans where I still think Cristiano Ronaldo has got it.
Would you have been happy with him at Chelsea? You're heavily linked at one point.
Do you know, when we were heavily linked at one point, it's more of a mentality thing that I would have been happy with for him to come at Chelsea. Yeah. You have a Cristiano Ronaldo in your team, everyone's going to start thinking that much stronger. Everyone's going to want to win. You want to be a winner when Cristiano Ronaldo is on your team, and he's going to kind of instill that mentality in you. Yeah. One thing that has been common within, you know, all of our Chelsea squads, from let's say Jose Mourinho's second stint up until now, is mentality. The boys don't have the mentality. Yeah. And Cristiano Ronaldo coming in gives you that mentality, you know. I wouldn't have minded him coming into Chelsea. It would have been a gamble, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I wouldn't have minded him coming in. So as far as Manchester United, I do hope he stays, because for the Premier League, I think that would be really good entertainment. I want to see how Eric Ten Hag incorporates him into this United squad, whether he sticks with him or whether, like the last game they played against Liverpool, he gets dropped more often. That would be very interesting to see for me. Dan, quickly, put you on the spot. Yes or no? Will he be there come the end of the transfer window? He'll be at Manchester United, yeah. Nowhere for him to go. I think we'll end on that. Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.